When you think of Sun Devil football, you think of Sun Devil for life. If we get the Valley all in, the sky is the limit.
I went to Arizona State. I'm a Sun Devil, man.
I'm home.
Hello, Sun Devil fans. Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast here. Welcome back for another episode of the Speak of the Devils Sitdown series, where I bring you in-depth one-on-one conversations with key players, coaches, and other figures within Sun Devil athletics. For Joey Ramos, 2023 will be the second attempt at a happy homecoming. The Valley product spent 4 years at Iowa State, where he saw action all across the offensive line. For 2022, he decided to transfer back home and play for the hometown Sun Devils, and things began well as he earned a starting spot. But unfortunately, he suffered a broken ankle in the season opener and was lost for the rest of the season. Now fully healthy and with a new coaching staff in place, Joey re-earned a starting spot at right guard during spring practices. And beyond his skills in the trenches, he's also become one of the team's leaders, having been named to the Leadership Council. Things are in place, once again, to put a successful cap on his college career. On this episode, we discuss the hard road back from injury, getting healthy physically and mentally, his leadership style, the state of the rebuilding offensive line, why he cut his once long flowing locks, and much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Joey Ramos. All right, Joey, obviously a lot has changed in the program, and like basically kind of a new look for Sun Devil football, but also one of the biggest changes I've noticed is you cut the long locks from a season ago. What was the thought process behind that?
Well, I don't know. I just kind of woke up one day and I was like, it's time for change. That's the old me in a way. It's time to just, kind of start a different path and really start to turn things around and kind of a new version of me after such a gnarly injury, such a kind of sudden season-ending injury like that to happen. I was just like, it's time to just kind of revamp myself. I had a lot of time to just I was by myself a lot, recovering and just doing my own thing. And I was like, I'm coming back as a different person and like a scarier person when it comes to on the field play. So I was like, it's time for a new version of me.
Good deal. And so obviously, how's the ankle feeling? How's everything going? Obviously, you were out there in spring ball, but is it all feeling good and ready for the season ahead?
Absolutely. We're full steam ahead. I mean, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life for football, and I'm probably the strongest I've been ever. So, I mean, I'm feeling phenomenal going into this season.
How did it feel just to be able to get back on the field and in spring ball, running with the starting offense, just, coming off where you were, several months prior?
I mean, you really don't know what you got till it's gone with an injury like that. I mean, you take football for granted and then it just gets stripped right away from you. So it was just so joyful for me to be out there with the guys again and just have that camaraderie of just, everyone supporting everyone and just playing ball again, man. It's just like it's a feeling that you can't really describe. It's just like it's a sense of accomplishment for me that I was able to come back strong and the best I've ever been from an injury like that and just kind of play ball at the best of my abilities.
Now, you mentioned it's a kind of a new year, a new Joey Ramos, but obviously, a new era of Sun Devil football. When you look back at your first year as a Sun Devil last year to kind of the, 6-7 months now under Kenny Dillingham, what strikes you as kind of the biggest differences in the program's culture?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a full 180, but I just think this is the tightest team that I've ever been a part of. I mean, I've been a part of some championship teams back in my old school, and even just compared to last year, like I've never been a part of a group, O-line specifically, and even as an offense and as a team in general, like everyone, like there's no issues anywhere on the team. Everyone loves everyone. Everyone respects everyone. Coaches respect the players and the players respect the coaches, and that's huge. Definitely, it's going to be awesome because it's going to be passed down through generations of this football team. I mean, the standard's set so high for ourselves right now in every single room and even the coaches that all these players are holding themselves and each other to an extremely high standard to where last year people held each other to standards, but it just wasn't so firm. now everyone, no matter if you're a senior or a freshman, they're all being held to the same standard. And I think that's what's going to make us such a dangerous team this year.
It seems like Kenny Dillingham's really brought a new energy and revitalized the players, the fan base, the community, and really going on. What kind of really stands out about the energy level and just kind of what he's been able to do in terms of kind of revitalizing the program after a really difficult season?
I mean, he's done a night and day difference. I mean, the energy that he brings and the passion, like you can see it in meetings and even just walking around, being around the facility. Like, we never really saw that with Coach Herm, and for him to just be around in the facility and you see him playing chess in the locker room, just bonding with the players. It's awesome to see as an older guy, because now I know that this university and this team throughout the next however long he's here is going to be left in a great tradition with a great coach who really connects with his players on a different level. And he just brings phenomenal energy to our team, and it just helps us when the times do get tough, whether it's hot and we're conditioning. And I know they're not allowed to be there when we condition, but we just know that if he could be there, he's there. Just like he's not, as some coaches would MF people for being lazy. He's encouraging players to, like, you got this. Like, you got a couple more reps in you. Like, you can do this. So it's awesome having Coach Dillingham. Like, he's one of the first coaches that I can truly 100% buy in and be confident as a vet, because it's hard with being a vet and having a new coach. You don't really know if you could trust him. And as soon as day one with Coach Dillingham, I knew I was able to just completely buy into his process. And it's been really benefiting our team with our leadership and all that. He's done a fantastic job since he's been here since day one.
As a vet, but also as a guy who was a transfer a year ago and kind of getting used to a new school after being somewhere for a while. This is a team and a roster that's obviously got a lot of turnover. Like more than half the guys seems like have so many more newcomers here. But as a vet, but also as a guy who's gone through the going someplace new process. What's it been like just kind of getting all these newcomers kind of integrated and everybody on the same page?
It's actually been going really smooth. I mean, all the new guys, they come in. Like, the main thing when they were being recruited is our O-line coach was like, be around the guys, because you're not going to always be around me, but you're going to always be around those guys. And those are the guys that are going to go to war for you every Saturday, every day at practice. So the players that came here knew what our culture was like as a team and as an O-line. And all these players that have gotten here have done a really good job at just buying into the process that Coach Dillingham has put forward for us. And they've just been doing a fantastic job at not having any backlash and just really understanding that we're all here right now, whether you committed here as a true freshman or whether you transfer in as a grad transfer or a second-year dude. We're trying to win. We're trying to be the dominant Arizona State that we used to be.
And going back to last year, obviously, you come here, you're back home, you earn a starting job, everything's looking good, and then, of course, you have the ankle injury. What are the thoughts going to your head? You're down on the turf there, I believe, is the opener against NAU. What's kind of going through your mind at that point?
So when it happened, there was only one voice that I heard, and it was Isaiah Glass. And he just goes, like, dude, get up. Like, come on. Like, we got to go. It's right before half. And I knew when the injury happened, I knew exactly what happened. I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish the game. I felt a few pops, and I was like, yeah, this is probably not good. But my main focus was, like, I got to get off the field. There's people that still need to play a game. It's not all about me. And I looked down when I was on all fours, looked at my ankle, saw that it was straight, and I was like, okay, I can probably hobble off the field. I know I can. I'm not going to sit here. I got to get off the field. We got a game to play. There's guys that got to play a game, and I knew that the next man up was going to be a good man, and just kind of I didn't make it all about me. Obviously, it happened, and I kind of dealt with it. I got a lot of support from the guys that were there. And the training staff did a fantastic job keeping my spirits up when they did get down with the injury, just kind of paving a nice road for me through the recovery process. So, I mean, I try to make it not about myself. And then after the injury, I just try to make sure that I gave back as much as I could to the guys that were there playing, like trying to help them with extra film or breaking down certain things.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really has kind of jumped out to me over the years and talking to a number of players. It seems like no matter the era, talking to guys from the 96 Rose Bowl team to kind of the current day is like guys coming off, or experiencing major injuries in the rehab process. as you kind of alluded to earlier, just like, that feeling of kind of isolated, that you're out of the kind of the normal flow of football. What was that kind of just, obviously the physical comeback in rehab is one thing, but just kind of the mental side of things, of just kind of dealing with those feelings of kind of maybe isolation, or just, the things that people don't often necessarily perhaps think goes apart with the rehab and getting healthy process.
So the main thing that I wanted to make sure that I did was I wanted to make sure I didn't feel isolated. So I made sure whenever they allowed me to, I would come to all the meetings. I would be at every breakdown, every extra film session after practice. No matter what I could do, I would still do whatever I could do with them letting me, to be around the guys, to prevent me from falling into one of those slumps where I do feel isolated and I do get down on myself and I go down a dark path. But I had phenomenal guys around me and a phenomenal team to just kind of back me up and just keep my spirits high. And I know they appreciated whatever breakdowns I could do. And I mean, throughout the season, there were some people that had some injuries. So I was able to get to know some of my teammates a lot better and form actually really good connections and friendships with them.
What did you miss most about playing football while you were sidelined?
The biggest thing for me was just like being in the game and being in the flow of the game. It's kind of an experience you have to do to really understand it, but just being in that like mode to where it's like, all right, it's go time. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like it's time to focus on this thing and this thing only. And then just, playing as a team. I mean, it's awesome playing with a unit of 5 guys, because when you're whooping somebody's butt, you all feel great, and it all brings a great camaraderie around just the O-line. And then when the O-line's playing fantastic, the offense does good, and when the offense does good, games are won, and that ends up in a win, and then everyone's happy.
Obviously the team kind of struggled throughout the season, and leading to the record that you guys ultimately got. Just how tough was it, as a competitor, just to see the team struggling to win games, and but also not being able to get out there and be part of that process?
It was extremely hard for me, just because I knew that I was coming there to make a difference, and I wasn't able to actually partake in making that difference, and thinking all the thoughts of, what if I didn't get hurt? Would we have a different record? Or I know one man can't change a team, but could the energy have been better if I wasn't hurt? Like, could we have won a few more games that were tighter? Could we have upset more teams? Just stuff like that. Those thoughts get in my head, but at the end of the day, I realized that once I'm out, I can't think like that, because then there's all the what ifs. And when you get all these what ifs, you kind of just lose track of reality. And I just kind of sat back and just let reality hit. And I was just kind of doing my best to support my teammates when I could go to games and stuff. And even the O-line coach, Mike Kavanaugh, he'd be like, watch the right side as I watch the left side. Just things like that really helped me a lot, just, to stay active in the game and stay active with the team, so I didn't feel like I was just one of those dudes that got hurt and kind of disappeared.
How tough was it just to see that kind of the coaching staff that, got you to Tempe and back home in the Valley, to, seeing them let go?
It's tough. It's always tough to lose an O-line coach that you really connect with through the recruiting process and all that. But I mean, through the years of playing college football, you do realize that it is a business, and business is business, and people come and go. And with one O-line coach comes a new one, and I'm glad to have Coach Saga, and I think he's doing a fantastic job so far.
Now, between the injury, the coaching change, the struggle, the win-loss record overall from the program, a year of adversity for you in Sun Devil football, and a lot of obstacles thrown your way. Obviously, a much brighter future now, but going through that last year of all the things that were thrown at you, what were some of the big lessons, and how do you think it's kind of impacted and shaped you moving forward?
I think I'm not going to say I'm glad it happened, but I'm glad I was able to experience it and get another opportunity to come back this year and play. I mean, it really taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot of discipline, because I couldn't with not being able to work out, not being able to sweat after surgery, I couldn't let that affect me and just turn into a pig. And next thing you know, I'm 350 pounds. Like it taught me the self-control of still eating clean, doing upper body, doing as much as I can while also being limited. And it grew my game, and it grew my knowledge of the game of football, like twice, maybe even 3 times what it was, because without actually being able to play, I was able to study a lot, and I was able to understand defenses a lot more and why they do certain things. So I'm glad it happened because it taught me a lot about myself. And now I've realized that there was things I needed to change in my process of how I attack certain things. And now I feel like I'm the sharpest tool I've ever been. And I'm just really excited for this upcoming season.
And of course, you got healthy and we're out there and running with the starters in spring ball. When you look back at spring, where do you see the biggest strides in your game, going from practice 1 to practice 15, and just kind of the overall takeaways you got from the spring ball experience?
I think just kind of playing around with different dudes next to me. I had 4 or 5 different players next to me, left and right. And just kind of, it was nice being able to just stay in one position finally, because I know throughout the league, when I got to ASU last year, I was bouncing around tackle, guard, center, and it was really hard for me to focus on perfecting my craft at one position. So with Coach Patella, he was able to sit me down, we talked. He told me where I'm best at, and he told me right guard's my job. And the main thing I did was I just kept learning more about the game, and my game just kind of elevated itself through just the self-teaching and reaching out to different sources, that I'm able to perfect my craft at right guard. And I feel like this is the best football that I'm going to be playing. And from practice 1, I found some different – it was different because I never sat down and played guard. It was always like an emergency, like plug in, plug out type of deal when I did play guard. But now I have tape at just about every position in the offensive line, and I know that's going to benefit me come the end of this season going into the NFL. So, it's nice to see the strides that I've made from practice 1 to practice 15. I feel like I've got quicker hands. I understand the plays more since we got a new offense rolling. Just kind of continue to develop my game throughout the spring and develop the guys around me, and to have them trust me has been really nice, because when they trust me, I can trust them. And we just all jive as one big unit out there, and it's good to be a part of.
Now that you're solidified as the right guard, and you mentioned you have that versatility, you play just about everything, but now that you're locked in at the guard position, on a full-time basis rather than just kind of filling it as you had in the past, what are some of the things that are kind of specific perhaps to playing guard kind of in the interior there that perhaps you didn't know, or that are most interesting to you, and things that you're working to hone?
I like guard a lot. I've played center, so it wasn't too new for me to slide down to guard, because when you play center, the contact is so much faster compared to tackle. I know you play tackle, you are mostly on an island, and compared to playing on the interior, you have a lot of support and a lot of tools at your disposal. The contact's a little bit quicker. The dudes aren't as fast and as twitchy. They're a lot heavier and stronger, but that just kind of forces you to develop your game and figure out how to leverage against smaller, stronger dudes or big, heavy guys.
Your new position coach in Saga Tuatele obviously has a pretty impressive resume, as put together some pretty explosive ground attacks during his day. Coach at Army, so you got the Service Academy experience. Overall, what jumps out about Saga in terms of your position coach and a guy who can mold you and improve your game for the next level?
He really respects us, and when you have a coach that can respect his players to the fullest, it gives the players another sense of confidence that they didn't know they had. Because then when you have a coach that completely trusts you, you can play at the fastest that you can play, because you can mess up and he's not going to be too mad, but at least he's going to be proud of you for messing up at full speed. So having him just respect us has been huge, and it's made a big difference in the room, because now we don't fear him. We all really jive with him, and we don't take his constructive criticism as hard. I know some people respond to criticism a lot different. I think he's done a fantastic job. He brings a lot of different ideas of how the game is played. He's got some fantastic techniques that some people have never seen. He did a really good job with working with everyone individually, saying that this is like, say, I don't have as long as arms as Emmett Boley, or I don't have the super short arms. He knows how my body works, and he teaches me how to play my best football.
During spring, there were some injuries and some guys that kind of, were in and out of the lineup. And, there's a couple stalwarts like you and Isaiah and Leaf were kind of in there from day one. But, some of the other spots were having some flexibility. Also, some guys getting healthy that might be back in the lineup here in a little bit. How do you think the O-line is kind of gelling? Obviously, chemistry is such an important part of the position group. And, do you think that there might be the kind of mix and matching of spring might have some benefits there? Or do you think it might have, slowed the cohesion and the gelling process a little bit?
I think the mixing and matching definitely has a benefit for us because now we have dudes that have experience playing next to people they've never thought they'd play next to. And when you play next to different people that are going to be potentially playing in games, if they do get subbed in, because as we know, injuries happen. For example, me, it just comes out of nowhere and you never expect it. But when the next man comes in, you've had practice with him. You know how he works. He can trust you. So I think the mixing and matching it's been important, and especially with basically a whole new line coming in with all the transfers out and people that just graduated and all that. I mean, we graduated, I think 3 and another 6 transferred out. I think it's been huge to just kind of mix and match people, to just have them playing next to each other. So if injuries do happen, you're not in complete shock playing next to someone that you've never had practice with.
And perhaps one of the more important questions I got for you, as an old lineman, what's your favorite Tempe food spot to satisfy the lineman's appetites?
Man, as of recently, for me, it's been Taco Boys. I think it's phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Mexican food, and it kind of brings back the street taco feel, and it feels kind of somewhat authentic.
Okay, I'll have to give that a shot. Obviously, being a taco fan, being back in the Valley, a lot of great Mexican food here. Overall, what are kind of the best parts that you've seen so far? Unfortunately, the playing experience perhaps wasn't what you wanted it a year ago, but just being back in the Valley, being back home, what are some of the best parts for you that you've had over the past year plus?
I would definitely say just being close to family. I mean, it was nice. It's terrible to say it, but it was nice when I got hurt to just have my family right there and not have to worry about them flying home after I got surgery or anything like that. Definitely having my family and my really close friends nearby has been great. And then just kind of having some spots that I went to in high school or every time I'd come home on break that some of these dudes never thought they would see, like whether it's going out in the middle of the desert and you have no reception and you're just seeing nothing but nature, taking some of the guys out there to experience that's been awesome. Just kind of show them what Arizona has to offer.
As a local guy who came back to play and be back in the Valley, what's it been like seeing kind of the renewed focus that on the state of Arizona, on the local talent that Kenny Dillingham's been placing, and activating the Valley?
I think it's huge. I mean, there's some phenomenal players that unfortunately don't play in Arizona. I mean, why wouldn't a kid want to stay home where he has his family and he's got all these family friends and he's got all his friends from high school or wherever it might be? I mean, you got to recruit the kids that are here, the kids that grew up watching this. I knew I grew up watching ASU football. I went to games when I was little, and I was like, man, this is awesome. But it just kind of never worked out the way it did when I was in high school with the recruiting process to ASU. So I think it's awesome that Coach Dillingham's he's getting back into Arizona recruiting, because I know with Coach Herm, he would reach out for different talent from different states. And I mean, the Arizona kids, all they want is a shot. And there's some phenomenal talent that's in Arizona that does not need to leave and needs to play for ASU. So I think it's awesome that Coach Dillingham's focusing on Arizona again. And I think it's really going to benefit.
You're a member of the Son of a Football Leadership Council group of players, and just being here for just the one season so far, what does it mean to kind of be on that council, and also how do you see yourself, your role as a leader and your leadership style?
It's huge for me. I mean, my mom's always told me from day one that I'm a natural leader, so seeing that and being a part of that is huge for me. I think it really gives me gives me a sense of accomplishment, because I know I'm inspiring these young guys that just came in to be better, and I'm holding my specific position group to such a high standard. And it's not only about me. There's guys like Leaf. He just got here and he's a natural leader too. And there's never been any issue between me and him have jived really well. And we've just made it a point that the O-line is full of leaders because we are the leaders of the group. It's no longer, like there's the one dude who's really good and he's the leader of the group. It's every single person is a leader and everyone holds themselves to such a high standard that there's not one specific dude that everyone needs to look up to. Everyone looks up to everyone, whether it's in football, whether it's in life. There's dudes that have master's degrees. There's dudes that are seeking to get a bachelor's. I mean, there's different walks of life everywhere. And I think we've done a fantastic job at really creating one big solid leadership group as an offensive line. And as a team, everyone's a leader. There's not one person that sticks out. And if you don't like leadership or constructive criticism, you stand out like a sore thumb. And Coach Dillingham takes care of that. And they either get straight or they get out of here.
With fall camp just a little bit away, what are some of the things that you focused, coming off that strong spring performance, some of the things that you've focused on in this offseason with, Coach Joe and the conditioning strength program, just things you've been working on to get ready for fall camp and the season ahead?
Those I'm going to keep secret, but I just know I'm coming out of the gates sprinting. I'm hitting the ground running. There's no walking to jog to running. It's coming out of the gates sprinting. And I know that's not just for me, but that's for the entire team and the entire offense. We're looking to be those Pac-12 champions again. We're bringing back the old, violent, dominant ASU football that should have never gone away.
Speaking of that offense, obviously a new scheme under Kenny and Bo Baldwin, and looked pretty impressive in spring. An offense that was very fast paced, gets the ball out quick to a lot of playmakers. What sticks out to you about this Sun Devil offense from a lineman's perspective?
I mean, Coach Dillingham does a fantastic job at knowing where our strengths are at. So I know he's going to do a really good job at game planning against certain defenses for our strengths, and I think we're just going to have a fantastic season. We're going to be dominant, and I'm calling it out, we're going to be one of the best offenses definitely in the pack and possibly in the country.
There's also a new Sun Devil defense that you got up close and personal with and face them in practice each and every day. Seems to be a lot more aggressive than the Sun Devil defense from a season ago. What's it like just, kind of facing that Devil D, and what do you think fans will see from the defense this fall?
I think you're going to see one of the best defenses that ASU's put on display in the last few years for sure. I mean, it's fantastic that we get to practice against such a dominant defense and such a dominant scheme so when we play against other teams, it doesn't seem as tough, and the guys seem as gnarly as our guys, because our dudes are some dudes, man. They come out swinging for sure. A fantastic year for the defense, the offense, and special teams, all that. It's just going to be a really good season for Sun Devil football for sure.
Overall, when you look at you and the guys in that locker room, a lot of the national predictions don't have ASU doing some big things this fall, but what's the collective attitude and mindset of this 2023 group of Sun Devils right now as you guys are about to embark on fall camp?
Everyone's happy that people are counting us out now. I mean, there's nothing else that we would want. I mean, everyone is happy that no one's expecting anything from us. It really gives us that edge and that chip on our shoulder that they're already counting us out. What else can we do? At rock bottom, there's only one way to go. So we hit rock bottom, and there's only one way to go, and that's up. And we're definitely on that uprise, and I think we're definitely going to shock the nation this year.
When all is said and done, when the curtain drops on 2023, what do you want out of this upcoming season? What are the things you want to accomplish, and what are the things that you hope this team accomplishes?
Pac-12 championship and a bowl game win for sure. I want that. I want another ring. I want these guys to, with a great season after coming off last year, it'll make not only recruits, but it'll make the current players not want to transfer out. And it's just going to build that true chemistry of a team, that trust of a team, and just the culture. I mean, I want this culture to change to be the best team in the pack. I mean, I don't want ASU to be like, we got another easy game this week. It's ASU there. I want people to be like, son of a gun, got to play ASU. We're gonna be limping out of this game.
I'd like to thank Joey for taking time to talk with me for this episode. I'd also like to thank Jeremy Hawks of ASU Media Relations. Make sure you are subscribed to Speak of the Devils on the podcast platform of your choice. For more episodes featuring guests such as Brian Ward, Brian Carrington, Chris Edmonds, DJ Foster, Rashad Samples, Jalen Conyers, Trenton Bourget, CJ Fight, and many more. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at bdenny29.